What's going on, man?
Yeah,
How you doing? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can. How you doing?
Okay. Good. I'm fantastic. Just getting in here, getting things started, getting things moving. Man, let's see here. Let's go ahead and get this show rocking, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm awesome this morning, man. How about yourself? You feeling like a good show?
Oh, man, I'm feeling like a fantastic show, man. Guess what I was listening to this morning?
What's that?
Dr. Wallace D. Wallows, The Science of Getting Rich.
Oh, man, my favorite. One of my favorite books.
Bro, that is absolutely. I might even sell that on my website, justaskjoe.net. And that right there is you click on the motivation tab or what have you, and you might be able to download that book. But that is a fantastic read. I remember, what's funny is you sent it to me recently, whereas I sent it to you like last year sometime, and it was pretty awesome that it's coming back around full circle. Yeah, Heather, you may need to go out and come back in if you can't hear anything. I know she's in the back waiting in the backstage, but if you can't hear us, then go out and come back in. It might be a phone or a device issue. All right, folks. Well, again, it is December 10th, 2022. And I tell you what, we are here. It is Mr. Just Ask Joe, your boy, Mr. John Ya, Esoteric Concepts himself, here to drop some knowledge on us as usual. You ready to rock, bro?
Yes, man. Let's rock it.
I'm ready to go. All right, y'all. Let's get it in.
You are listening to The Tipping Point Show with your host, Mr. Just Ask Joe, John Ya. You ready? Streaming live all over social media and on your favorite music and podcast streaming platforms.
Yeah, you know what it is.
Also, check out thetippingpointshow.com. The Tipping Point Show.
I don't even know what's going on. Oh my god. Are you guys kidding me?
Crazy.
Folks, I tell you what, it is December 10th, 2022. Guess what? It's Saturday, December 10th, 2022. It's actually the only Saturday, December 10th, 2022 that you will ever get in your life. So you better make today a great freaking day. I don't know what that beeping noise is, but I tell you what, we're going to keep it going. I tell you what. First up to the stage, man. I cannot wait. This brother. It's been a little bit of hiatus, folks. We just been chillaxing, taking care of business. And this brother right here, I don't know what to say about him that hasn't already been said, but up to the stage is brother Crypto Kenny himself, Mr. Bitcoin Campus himself. Brother, welcome to the Tipping Point Morning Show once again.
Guys, good morning, gentlemen. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Well, thanks for having me again. It's an exciting time to be alive. That's always a great thing, great Saturday. And I just wanted to come on here and pretty much just give a little bit of, quick advice. I got a really busy morning, so I got some things I got to handle in some other aspects of business, but it's always a pleasure of mine to come on here and share anything that I know to be worthy for anybody to develop in their investment businesses. First and foremost, one thing, if you're not taking your discretionary funds and finding a way to invest that or grow that money, it's going to be very difficult for you to get wealthy. It's going to be very difficult for you to put yourself in a cycle of ease. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck. And, trust me, I know that feeling as well. Anytime you're working a job, the job is just going to pay you just enough so that you can, manage yourself and continue to come to work. So you always want to have a formula where you can put in that extra work, that hard work for a period of time, take that extra money and then find ways to invest it to grow that. So, if you have $1 and you put it somewhere, when you come back, it should be like $1.15, $1.25, $1.50. If you put in $1 somewhere and you're coming back and it's 95 cents, that formula is not working. And that's what most people do when they put it in the bank for savings, right? So For those of you that know, you know, Bitcoin
Crypto-
Campus is
Crypto help them make their money be impregnated and have a baby.
that's the analogy that a lot of people have, you know, is you know, doing that type of stuff, putting it away so that it can grow. You know, I mean, that analogy is pretty strong. I don't want to talk about pregnancies and babies right now, but you know, just, you know, so for personal reasons, right? But when it comes to you know, just you know, having a formula, you know, the formula and the lifestyle is something that people have to constantly think about. You know, what are you doing with your extra time? What are you doing with your extra money? Right? So what crypto does is it just gives people an opportunity, you know, a chance. You know, it's the half court shot, you know, for some. You know, is once you start learning about it, it's not a half court shot anymore. It becomes a 3-pointer. You know, once you start getting even better than that, then it's a free throw. You know, and then once you get, you know, established, then it becomes a layup, right? But if you're not taking that half court shot, if you're not positioning yourself, then you're really just going to stay on the hamster wheel for a long time. You know, Bitcoin Campus right now, you know, we've done over, you know, probably 20, 25 programs in the last in the last 2 years, right? So if you think about that, we've been a part of a lot of different investment opportunities. So, you know, we made a lot of money on some of them didn't do so well. But the reason why I'm saying that is right now, we have a platform in Bitcoin Campus that's pushing 400% returns, right? So when you're dealing with something like that, just think about that, 400%, and that's happened since April. Now that's only one platform, but you know, I have people around me that have over 100 grand in that specific platform. So imagine being in a situation where you have $100,000. I mean, look, not the average person going to have $100,000, but I just want to give you a wealthy philosophy, a wealthy way of thinking, real quick, for the people that do have it, right? Because I don't have it to have in that platform, you know, and I think in this platform I have maybe about $12,000 invested, you know. But I'm just giving you an example for just an understanding. Some people in this platform have over $100,000 invested in it. So since April, it's at close to like 400%. Now, the way it's structured is they will, out of the $100,000, I think they circulate about 75 grand from an investment standpoint. So think about having an investment where you put $100,000 in it, and before the year is up, it's over $300,000. You know, you did more than doubled your money in that investment. And $100,000 is not a drop in the bucket, right? Now, I use that example because that's how the rich stay richer. You know, they find things, you know, that are true like that. It may take them several platforms and several different strategies and working with a lot of different people to find that one thing that works, or those few things that works, because you always want to diversify. But when you do find that thing that works, look what it can do to your bottom line. You know, I was having a call with a gentleman the other day, and we were both fascinated by how well this platform was doing in a bear market, in an economy that is dealing with inflation. You know, and when I asked him about the 100K that he had in it, you know, did he get his money back? He was just like, you know, I got my money back and then some. You know, so when you think about those types of things, that's really what people are searching for. You got to search for, and let's drop that number from 100K to $100. Right now, you know, $200, $300 is not going to change anybody's life, but it's really about growing your money. Anywhere you can grow your money, you want to pay more attention to and work harder on. You want your money to be working for you, not you always working for your money. If you're always working for your money, then you're doing something wrong.
With that being said, then basically what you're saying is come to the Bitcoin Campus and you get introduced to these programs, because once you're a member of this of the Bitcoin Campus, then ultimately these programs are shown to you for free. Whether the program's free or not, that's a different story. But these programs are shown. So all these ideas of being able to invest are shown to you for free at the Bitcoin Campus. And I tell you what, folks, when you take a look at this right here, go to the tippingpointshow.com and you click on the partners link and you'll see this logo. I'm telling you, you can jump in the Bitcoin campus for half the price than any other person just about out there, right? So go to thetippingpointshow.com, click on the partners link, and you'll see this logo. Once you click on it, you can read all about the Bitcoin campus and all that good stuff. Message us if you want. Let us know, and we'll kind of fast track your application once you join. But I'll tell you what, Brother Crypto Kenny, you're always stepping in with some amazing crypto advice. Folks, this is the time to go ahead and get involved and learn some more stuff. Am I right, brother?
Absolutely. I mean, whenever you're dealing with investing and you're dealing with crypto, people think that it's not going to stay around. If it's not going to stay around, then if you do any research on crypto, research the banks. Think about your favorite bank, baby. and then think about your favorite bank and then research them. And then you'll realize that they're involved in crypto and they're positioning themselves to accept crypto. In about another 2 years, all major retails will be having an opportunity to accept crypto at their store. Think about that.
Absolutely.
What are you doing in between now and those 2 years?
Absolutely. Hey, man, it's always a pleasure. We appreciate you stepping up and jumping in with some info. Until next week, same place, same time. Thank you for jumping
you guys.
in with us.
God bless you guys. I'll talk to you guys later.
Peace, bro.
Right. Peace. All right, folks. I tell you what, hey, I heard that analogy this morning on listening to something. Dude said that wealthy people, they figure out a way to put their money in the incubator and let it get pregnant and have more babies. That was the analogy that the brother used. So next up to the stage, we're going to talk about having more stock babies with the stock spotlight with brother Leonard Walker. Family.
How we doing?
Shalom.
How we doing? All right. With us right now, as we see, the market is tanking. This has not been a good year for the stock market, for those of us in the stock market, but that's not always a bad thing.
Don't run.
No, don't run, because this is an opportunity when stocks are down. This is an opportunity to buy cheap.
Get greedy.
There you go. Where there's fear, have greed. So like I said, is right now you got with interest rates are really hurting. Interest rates going up are really hurting two industries that we're going to talk about today in the stock market. And I've got two stock tips for you to put on your watch list to check out. So those interest rates, like I say, with the Fed raising the interest rates, there are two indexes that really are affected pretty much. One of them is REITs, Real Estate Investment Trusts, and the other one is utilities. So why are these affected? Because of course, it increased when you increase the interest rate, it increases the debt these companies have to take on. Utility companies especially have to take on a lot of debt because they have to, carry all of this debt because they build infrastructure. It costs a lot of money to build a plant or to build some solar farms or to build all of this kind of stuff. So first up, we're going to talk about a real estate. It's actually a mutual fund that I discovered and something to put on your watch list. And it's called Reeves Utility Income Fund. Reeves, spelled R-E-A-V-E-S, Utility Income Fund. Its ticker symbol is UTG. That's Uniform Tango Golf. Traded on the New York Stock Exchange. And as always, there you go. Reeves Utility Fund. As always, under $50. Right now, it's going for about $30. It pays an annual dividend per share of $2.28. This is a monthly paying stock. It pays a monthly dividend of 19 cents, and it's been paying that pretty steady here recently. It's on about an 8-year streak. Its dividend yield is 7.60%. 52-week high is 52-week high is $35.44. 52-week low is $24.21. Again, this is a mutual fund that has a basket of energy companies, all right, diverse energy companies, and they make their money after taxes. Okay, this company's been around since 2004. All right, and as I said before, interest rates are kind of hurting this industry because, like I said, is these utility companies have to, it costs a lot to build this infrastructure up, dams and hydroelectric and all that kind of stuff. See, so the interest rates is causing them to have more debt. So put it on your watch list, because the interest rates are not going to stay the way they are. Eventually, the Fed is going to stop raising interest, and when they do that, that means that these companies, their share prices and their dividends may go up. So that's something to look for. The next company we're going to talk about is a REIT. And why are we talking about REITs right now? REITs may not seem hot, but all of the experts are trying to buy up REITs. That REITs are real estate investment trusts. All right. And what is a real estate investment trust? That's a stock that you can basically be the landlord without being the landlord. Easy. You don't have to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to go and fix a toilet. All right. So you can just invest in something where all of that heavy lifting is taken care of. So the one we're going to be talking about is called SL Green Realty Corporation. SL Green Realty Corporation. That is ticker symbol SLG. Pretty simple, right? Sam Lima Golf. They trade on the New York Stock Exchange. Right now they're going for $35.61. They pay, this is another monthly dividend as well. They pay annual dividend of $3.25 with a monthly dividend of 31 cents. Their dividend yield is 9.13%. John, did you get all of that?
I did. I
Okay.
can listen.
All right. Sounds good. Okay. Interestingly enough, their book value per share right now is $75.65. That means at $35, you're getting a discount. But why is this so low? We'll get into that. So the profile of this company, this is an office REIT. Okay. Some people kind of shy away from office REITs, but this is an office REIT that owns 88 buildings in Manhattan. It is the largest landlord for offices in Manhattan. Okay, so if you know Manhattan, New York, okay, office buildings, rent, the spaces there can generate some revenue, right? They got 38.2 million square feet of space that they own. All right, this is what makes a REIT good, because REITs, as my brother John Yah would say, all right, own actual tangible assets. You own property, okay, when you own a REIT, okay, and properties bring in, like I said, you got rents, you got all of this kind of stuff that constantly generates income. Why is this company, what's going on with this company? Like I said, is interest rates again increases the debt. So that means that, they don't want to be raising rents on the people if they don't have to, right? But the debt increase kind of hurts the share price. All right, definitely. See, so that plus another thing that hurt this company was the pandemic. The pandemic hurt this company. So this is why it's kind of been tanking a little bit, but it's not going to stay down. Not when you own 88 properties in Manhattan. See, so there you have it. It was founded in 1997. So it's been around for a little while. So like I said, is why you guys are dollar cost averaging and looking at things to try to take advantage of. Remember, dollar cost averaging is putting money aside so that you can buy some things monthly. All right, buy some stocks monthly. While you're doing all of that, put this on your watch list. We can't time the market. It's very difficult, but you know, as long as I can bring you guys news, it's one of the key things you want to look for is the Fed saying that they won't raise interest rates. They're saying they're not raising interest rates. Be poised to start looking at have some stocks that you want to look at and try to buy.
All
Awesome.
right, my man. Appreciate it. Absolutely. And we will see you next week. Same place, same time, brother.
Peace.
Peace. Hey, listen, before we bring on Sister Heather, let me ask everyone to, as we miss our brother Pierre, but definitely he will be back next week. He's out taking care of some family business. But listen, as he would say if he was here, get on that button, push that share button, push that like button, and let's entertain each other by at least asking questions or whatever it is you want us to go into this show and what we're getting ready to talk about. We're getting ready to talk about this health. We're getting ready to talk about this this CMOS thing going on. So we want you to engage in us with the conversation and push like, push share this on your platform, share this on your own news feed so we can get this important information out.
Absolutely. That is definitely the one thing that you can do that costs you nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Hit a like button and share alike. All right. Next up to the stage, we have our sister from another mill, the lady Brazilianaire herself, Miss Heather Weatherspoon. Sis, how you doing? We can see you. We can hear you. Yes.
Where's she at? She up?
Yep. We can hear you and we can see you.
Is she in the back room?
No, she's talking. She's on talking.
No, we can't see her. I can't hear her. Absolutely. Where's she at? Let me see. Joe, pull back out and come back in yourself. Everyone be patient. We are having a little technical difficulty at this moment. Joe will be coming back up to take control.
All right. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, I tell you what, man, I'm about to bring sis back up, but it is amazing how some of this stuff works. Give me 1 second.
All right. While we're waiting on Joe. Okay.
All right. I done went up to 1 gig out here, Spectrum. Woo! Yeah, I don't know what's going on with them, but we're gonna work with it the best we can. Either way, let's go ahead and bring our sister back up, y'all. Hey, sis.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so first and foremost, I want to say I am so happy. I am writing another book called How Business Credit Saved My Life. So, as you all know, I do teach business credit, and I was able to gift myself an early birthday present, and I flew home. I San Diego, California. It's 6:30 in the morning here.
Wow.
I love it, and I'm excited, and I'm so happy. So, with that being said, my financial tip for you all is sell something. I know a lot of people, well, Heather, I don't have a business. That's okay. Do you know how easy it is to write an ebook? I have several ebooks, and I sell them for $1.
Mm.
So I make money in my sleep. And when you do things like that, guess what? You are now a business owner, and you can tap into the luxuries that the others have. You can obtain business credit, and you can stay right on the beach and have business credit pay for it all. I love it. So that is my tip. So this week I am in lovely California, and I'm on vacation. I'm not staying a whole week. No, I'm staying days in California. And guess what? I didn't pay for none of it. I love it. So yes, my tip for you is simple something. Start with something simple. Well, Heather, what's an ebook? It's a how-to book. How to bake a pie. Or how to change a diaper. Something. An ebook for life can also be a book of affirmation. You can have I think, therefore I am, which is my favorite one. You can have, you are always a queen, or don't forget you are a king. Any little small thing. Remember, anything you can touch, you can say. So join me with business credit on how it saved my life and how I'm able to celebrate my birthday at home. That's all.
Happy birthday to you, baby.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Appreciate you. Bye. All right. Joe is still having some difficulty. I hope we're still live. I think we are. Looks like we are. We're going to have a great show. We are going to talk about sea moss and whether it is beneficial or harmful. We're going to talk about the pros and cons with our brother, Dr. Akmal. Hope he is in the back room. And we're not having any problems with that. But either way it goes, we're going to continue this conversation with our brother, Dr. Akmal. Brother, you back?
Yes, sir, man. I tell you, I'm trying to work these issues out. But hey, it's all good, folks. We're going to go ahead and run the commercials real quick. But when we come back, again, remember, it's Dr. Akmal. We're going to talk about this sea moss thing. You know, this has been something that seemed like in the pandemic, yet again, something else that kind of got popular. And you know, we was running to it like, hey, this is the ish nizzle. So we're going to talk about that. You know, is it really as beneficial as we've been thinking? Folks, we'll be back right here on the Tipping Point Morning Show. And we'll talk about it.
Hey folks, check out healthdaddywoww.net. 100% plant-based herbs and supplements. Whether you're in person or online, use the word tipping for 10% off. Remember, feel better, look great, healthdaddywoww.net. Remember, healthdaddywoww.net.
Habibi Trading Company, home of soap, sticks, and Saya Baba products. Over 400 locations at a store near you. Cincinnati, Ohio, Louisville and Lexington, Kentucky, Southern Indiana, or find yours online at sayababa.com. Again, that's sayababa.com. Habibi Trading Company, where you can find fragrances to incite your senses.
I don't need to sit at your table. We building one. We in the process of building a table. We building a table. I don't gotta sit at your table. I'm building my own table, and I will build you a table in the presence of your enemies.
You are listening to The Tipping Point Show with your host, Mr. Just Ask Joe, John Young. You ready? Streaming live all over social media and on your favorite music and podcast streaming platforms.
Yeah, you know what it is.
Also, check out thetippingpointshow.com. The Tipping Point Show.
I don't even know what's going on. Oh my god. Oh my god. Are you guys kidding me?
All right. We are back. And I tell you what, man, it's a challenging morning dealing with internet and such. Me and Spectrum are definitely going to have a fantastic conversation after this show to figure out what's going on. But nonetheless, as I work between the supercomputer in the palm of my hand and the computer in my face, we will go ahead and keep this show going. Up to the stage, folks, we have someone who, just a favorite of the show. And as always, it is none other than Dr. Akmal himself. Brother, welcome to the Tipping Point Morning Show. Let's see. There you go. All right. Brother, how you doing?
Listen, I'm as good as God allow me to be at this moment. I'm
absolutely
on it. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes. We had a freeze up for just a second.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm having Spectrum issues too myself, brother.
I think there's an outage in the area as I'm looking into the app here. So it's affecting us all over, but it's all good. Brother, we thank you for coming in and working with us as we work with these issues.
Listen, I've had that on this morning myself teaching my Qigong class, so I understand about.
Can you hear me well, brother? Are we having on your end? Can you hear me clearly? Are we having breakups, freeze ups?
Are you hearing me?
I can hear you. Yes, having a freeze up, having a little freeze up though, but I can hear you. It stopped again.
I'm on. I'm on the move once again. You know, I'm always doing something, and so I'm on the move once again. I have to deal with their internet, so I understand what you're talking about.
So, you know, if he's got Spectrum over there and dealing with issues as well, then that sounds like something coming from the mainframe in the office that we all dealing with.
Let me set the stage real quick. We're going to be talking about CMOS and the benefits and the potential harm that people don't talk about with dealing with CMOS, and whether CMOS is totally something that is the new black thing, and that is the overall health thing, because I hear a lot of stuff people talking about CMOS that I just not seeing in the overall market. However, it is a mineral, it is a weed, a seaweed that has, they say, over 72 minerals that are trace minerals that are good for the body, that are good for function of the body, that you also get from other foods and soil. But we want to talk about CMOS on this different levels. That's why we wanted to bring on Dr. Akmal, definitely. And one thing I want to say is this is very important, and I'm going to be getting this conversation with Dr. Akmal also, is that the information that we get, and where do we get it from, and how information changes over time. And so sometimes if we're getting information from someone that has been deceased and just passed away to the next life, and we are stuck with that information, and we continue to ride with it as though that word is bond, that it would never change in science. And so this is why we want to talk about sea moss, because sea moss has became the new black. Everybody's doing sea moss now, and people are putting different stuff with sea moss foods and putting fruits in with your sea moss. Doing a lot of blend. I'm hearing an echo. Okay, so basically we're going to talk about sea moss, and we're going to talk about its minerals, its benefits, and its potential harm. And this is not to knock anyone who has now found a new life in sea moss or found a new life in selling sea moss. We just want to talk about the properties in sea moss, and we're going to talk about the harmful effects of certain things, specifically iodine. It's one of the issues that I really want to focus on when it comes to sea moss, because sea moss is extremely high in iodine, and we want to know what is iodine and how does it affect the body. Is too much iodine good for you, or is it bad for you? Is not enough iodine good or bad for you? And this is why we want to bring on Dr. Akmal to talk about that, so we can understand the variables, because there are people who are walking around actually are suffering from certain illness and don't even know, and that is the iodine, too much or lacking the iodine, that's causing the deficiency in their body. So Dr. Akmal, I hope you got to ride with me on that subject. Did you get to hear me clearly as we get ready to introduce that subject and bring you in on that?
Real quick, what I would suggest, Doc, is going back to the other device that you were just on, and we'll mute this device so that there is no echo.
Okay, sounds good to me, sir.
All right. We'll go ahead and do that. That way we can eliminate some of the freezing that's going on right now. Y'all just give us a moment. All right, and let's see. All right, give me 1 second. All right, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
All right, yes, sir. Fantastic.
All right. Give me a minute. I'm gonna put in some earplugs so we can hear each other and talk even better.
Okay.
But the piece of that, I want to start that piece off is that back in the 70s when I was a young man, I'm still a young man, but back in the 70s when I was a really young man and I was training hard, I used to take sea moss, and people didn't realize what it, we didn't deal with it in the manner that we're dealing with it now. But now, it's a piece where it's one of them fads. And so because it's a fad, what now is happening to us is the fact that everybody jumping on the bandwagon, including, check this out, including Kevin Hart, okay, and Mark Cuban. They just invested $600,000 in a company called Transformation Factory that's making sea moss. That's how powerful, that's how money making this product is at the moment. When we start looking at sea moss, we gotta start to deal with the factor of a couple of things. I want to start off talking about the water, because people don't realize they're taking sea moss, but that sea moss may wind up being tainted because of the pollution. We need to stop throwing them plastic bottles and all of that plastic out of our car windows and all of that, and recycle that, because that's going into the ocean, causing microplastics, which not only is killing the marine life in the water, but it's also causing the sea moss to have heavy metals, plastics, all of that, BPHs, all of that, which now becomes toxic to our body when we take it in. So then we start to take in the sea moss, and what happens? What happens now is now the ecosystem of our body becomes corrupted. because of that. And so we think that we getting well, and in 10, 5, 10, 15 years from now, we start to have illnesses, and the doctors are scratching their head trying to figure out what it is. And what it is the toxins from the sea moss, because the sea moss is being cultivated in waters that are toxic. So we got to stop doing that, because
Well,
of the fact.
don't people, when they have sea moss and you prepare sea moss, isn't part of the process to boil it and things of that nature, which should kill off any toxins?
Oh no, you can't kill heavy metals like that. You talking about heavy metals? And the chemicals coming from the plastic, you can't boil that out. And the other piece of that is that some seaweed you should not boil because you kill its properties.
Exactly.
See,
that's the other side of it. Yeah.
Right. See, and people don't understand that. The other piece of that is that, and I want to break this myth right now. Okay. Everybody talking about Irish moss. There's two types of moss. Okay. Well, there's several hundred different types of moss. Okay. But when you talk about Irish moss, okay, you're talking about, this comes from North Atlantic. It's from the cold water. Okay. And in the cold water of Northern America and in Europe comes Irish moss. Irish moss, if I go back to the history of Irish moss came popular in Ireland. That's where it first came popular in the 1800s because of the famine. So because they had a famine, and it was a potato famine, because they had that famine, they turned to the sea. When they turned to the sea, they started to take this moss off of the rocks and start to eat it, which now began to give them the minerals that they needed. Okay, so now we have that, and we have genus Gracilleria. Okay, Gracilleria comes out of Jamaica, not Irish moss. Irish moss is cold water. Gracilia has to do with warm water. So with Gracilia, you should be heating it because it comes from a hot climate. Where with Chundra crispus, and that's a Latin name for Irish moss. Chundra crispus, okay, should not be boiled. Okay. Chundra crispus should be put in water, let it soak, let it swell, and then because of the mucilus of it, now that's when you start to grind it up and move it into a piece where you can eat it. Okay, and that was one of the best ways to take it in, is take a spoonful and eat it. And not mix it with stuff. See, and that's the other piece. People are putting them in smoothies, they're adding them with this, they're adding them with the other. And what you're doing is you're breaking down the chemicals so you don't get all of the chemicals. If you don't take anything away from this today, this is what I want you to take away. You are a chemist. Your body is a chemistry factory. Everything you put in your body has to do with chemistry. If the chemistry is not proper, your body sooner or later is going to tell you that. So when we start looking at sea moss, we got to look at the fact that those are the two popular, Gracilleria and Irish moss, which is also known as Chundra crispus. Chundra crispus, what that means is ligaments and tendons. That's what that means. It's a Greek word. And so when we start to take that, we start to see that the ligaments and the tendons start to function, and now we begin to get the nutrients from it. The reason that some people take in sea moss and they say, oh, I feel great, that's the best thing in the world, is because of the fact that their bodies so full of shit that what happens is that the sea moss begins to move that out because of the fact that it has pectin in it. Pectin is also in apples. Pectin is in oranges. When you eat an orange, that fiber that's in the orange, that's pectin. That's why
so when you
talk
about fruit pectin, then
Right.
is that like the same thing?
It is. That's fruit pectin. That's like when you buy orange juice and it don't have no pulp in it, then that orange juice ain't worth the quarter that you're spending for it, because of the fact that the pulp is what really attributes to how you're gonna get nutrients from it. Okay, and so the piece of that. Give me half a second. I see my stuff is about to die on me. But the piece, I'm gonna keep talking whilst I walk away. But the piece of that is this: when you start to deal with that peptide in that manner, what happens is that not only does it move your bowels, but it also contributes to the fact of how your small intestines extracts the nutrients so that you have good health. When you start to take sea moss, what happens with the sea moss is the fact that when it goes in, the mucilage of it, which is thick, because they use Irish moss specifically, Gasteria also, but they use them both for food. Arga, which is a piece that they use for thickening, and that's what they've been using sea moss for. And so the piece of that is the fact that when you put that into your body, what happens is that mucilage surrounds the cell, and as it surrounds the cell, it allows for the nutrients to go into the cells because of the fact that it's on the outside. It's in the albumin. That's that liquid that's in the cell that the cells swim in, which is in sea moss. And so
now Doc, real quick, you use the term, you said mucinix?
Mucilage.
What when we say mucilage, that sounds like the word mucus.
Right.
And it sounds like you could have mucus, meaning potential harmful mucus, do the same thing surrounding a cell,
right?
And taking the negative nutrients within that mucus and doing the same thing that this positive mucilix could do. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's consuming like jealous or gelatin-like.
Gelatin-like.
So if you were eating like pastas and stuff like that, it would create the same type of gelatin mucus type stuff to surround a cell. Whereas you could, I guess what you're talking about is more of a health benefit.
Absolutely. I mean, that's how we get cancer. We get cancer because of the fact that the mucus from the foods we eat surround that cell, and instead of bringing in alkalinity, it's bringing in acidity, and that acidity starts to break down the cell. When you put in sea moss, what sea moss does is sea moss then begins to deal with the factor of bringing in chemistry. Remember, it's all about chemistry. It brings in chemistry that's going to increase the ability of the cell. For instance, when you start talking about chlorides, that's one of the pieces that's in sea moss. You talk about chloride and sodium. Okay, so now that's giving the cell the salt that it needs. They got us walking away from salt because of the hypertension. That's because of the fact that sodium, we have more sodium than we have potassium. And so when we have that more sodium than potassium, that causes the blood pressure to rise. But when you take sea moss balances that sodium and that potassium within that cell, so that what happens now is that now the blood pressure comes down because of the fact that you have that balance happening. So when we start looking at that mucilage in sea moss, that's why it's thick. Okay, that's why it's creamy. That's why when people eat it, it's like almost like slime going down their throat. That's why a lot of people put it in their smoothie, because of the fact that it now makes the smoothie thicker. Right, and now they think they got something going on, where they may be putting other chemicals with it that's breaking down the potassium. So because it's breaking down the potassium, now what's happening is the factor that now you got other issues starting to brew. The other piece of that is the factor that, you know, I keep hearing people say, well, it has 102 minerals in it. And there's not a lot of research that says it does. But what I understand that it does is it has at least 90 of them elements. The other 10, 92 of them, the other 10 you don't want because they're toxins. Okay. Now the body has its own set of toxins. We have toxins in the body. We had cadmium, we have arsenic, you know, I mean, so we have those, but we don't want to add those. And when we add those, what happens, that's what causes us to have issues. That's like
now, when you say that, the first word that pops in mind is imbalance.
No question.
Correct. Yeah.
No question. And see, that's like sulfur. Okay. You cannot sit down and drink pure sulfur. But when you take in sea moss, you wind up getting sulfates. Well, what do sulfates do? Sulfates clean. That's their job. Your tonsils, you know, a lot of the doctors don't deal with, you know, say, well, you know, there's been reports, well, we're not real sure what the tonsil does. The tonsil from my side of the table has to do with sulfur.
Correct.
Okay. And when the body needs that sulfur, it pushes it out. The reason that people have their tonsils taken out is because of the fact that too much waste gets in there and they don't have enough sulfur because of the fact that they're eating all that just garbage. And so when we start looking at sea moss, we have to respect the factor that there are minerals within that's going to help the body. That's why the factor that it's a growing fad. In the next 5 to 10 years, there'll be so many other things happening that people will be saying, sea moss, oh yeah, I took that once, I think. You know, because of the fact that now something else will come aboard. I've been doing natural medicine 45 years, and the amount of things that I've seen come and go have been horrendous. And this is
that's
one of them.
important right there. And real quick, if you get a chance, tell people real quick your background in history, because I think they need to know when you're decimating some of these myths and things of that nature. They need to know where it's coming from and who it's coming from.
So I started this journey. Actually, I started it from my mother, who was a healer, but I really got involved in it in around 74. Before 74, my health was terrible. I mean, terrible, including shooting dope. So I went from there to being 72 years old. I take no medications. I do Qigong, and I'm more healthier than most 25-year-olds because of the fact that in 1975, and I got into acupuncture and Eastern medicine. I went from there. I studied in China. I've studied in Canada. I have a PhD in nutrition, and I've written 5 books on health. And I've got one more coming out that talks about healing from other people's stuff. And so my background has been in the realm of healing for close to 45 years. I wrote a white paper for the Prince George's County in Maryland, where I live at. I wrote a white paper for their Head Start program. I mean, so I have a background. If you go to my website, which is drakmalspeaks.com, what will happen is you'll see who I am and other things about me. Each month I do a diabetes program, and each season I do a program to talk about how to heal through that season. We're in the kidney season. This is the right season to put in sea moss. Now, let me get to this. So in the winter and in the summer are the best times to put in sea moss. Why? Because in the summer, you know, we at the beach, we dealing with the sea. in the wintertime because of the fact that the bones, that the kidneys represents the sea in our body. Okay. It has to do with the fire and the water, which now gets into our bones, which has to do with our DNA, which has to do with our stem cells. Now, when you take sea moss in spring and in fall, you have to change it because of the fact that your body may not absorb all of the nutrients that's needed. So the sea moss that I sell to people is sea moss that has to do with grasses in it, so that you get that because of that chlorophyll which opens the cell, so that when the cell is not ready for that, each season your body changes. Think about it. I tell you people to do this experiment. Take your weight right now, write it down. In about a month or so, write it down. Take your weight again and see if your weight hasn't increased because of the fact that digestion has changed and digestion is slow now. So now when you take in the sea moss is going to go in there and slowly get into the system now because the digestive tract is down. Now, one of the good things about sea moss is the fact that it corrects digestion. Okay, because it goes in looking for deficiencies and it starts to correct it so that now the amylase that breaks the starch down in the mouth is able to do that in your saliva. It aids in the ability of the hydrochloric acid. That's where the sulfur helps it. The hydrochloric acid in your stomach to break down protein. And it also helps the small intestines to maintain that healthy bacteria that's needed in the small intestines in order for the small intestines to extract the nutrients from the foods we eat and from the sea moss. So when we start talking about sea moss is a wonderful thing, but it's about understanding how to use it. For instance, John, you talked about the fact that there are imbalances. And you're right. Because when people take sea moss 7 days a week, they create an imbalance because the body doesn't get a chance to really understand and use those nutrients that it's getting from that sea moss. And what happens to a lot of people is that people will wind up, and they may not wind up now, today or tomorrow, but in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they go to their doctor and their doctor say, oh, you got a thyroid issue. And they got a thyroid issue because of the fact that they've been putting the sea moss in, and the sea moss now has all of this iodine, which now is imbalancing the thyroid gland. When the thyroid gland is out of balance, it also affects your kidneys. It affects your endocrine system. It affects your brain. Okay. And so when we start looking at that, we're looking at the fact that when you take this in excess, and in the United States, we about excessiveness.
Yes, we are.
We do everything in excess. And so when you start to look at it in excess, those minerals build up in your body and they're doomed to cause issues. Now, one of the other things about the mucilage goes in, the nutrients get into the bones. The bones, again, have to do with your DNA. So your bones have to do with your ancestry. The winter is the kidney season, which rules the bones, which this is the season of your ancestors. That's the program I'll be doing next year. And when we start looking at that, we start looking at the fact that the blood goes back to the bones to pick up the nutrients from the DNA. So if you have been taking sea moss, what will happen is that it'll go back looking for that energy from your DNA. Within the compounds of that, if it's in excess, then what's going to happen is that you may have an issue that you're not even realizing you issue. For instance, it could cause fertility issues because of the fact that you have too much, because of the fact that you dealt with the thyroid, and so the thyroid also has to deal with the kidneys, and the kidneys deal with the reproductive system. So now you have an issue with the reproductive system. On the other side of that, if you take in sea moss, it can help the reproductive, the fertility issues that people are having. You know, and so, you know, when we start looking at Western medicine, allopathic medicine, they not keen on this. I saw a video where a sister who's a medical doctor did it, and she was, you know, she wasn't bad mouthing it, but she did talk about it in such a derogative term, but she also gave it some praise. And so, you know, because they don't understand it, they don't know it, then what happens is that they say, well, yeah, everybody taking it, but it, you know, it don't have research, so we can't, you know. And so the reality of that is the fact that sea moss is very valuable to the body, but it's about how you deal with it. Okay. That's like in the spring and in fall, it should be balanced with grasses, okay? So that the chlorophyll, because see, if that sea moss is cultivated underground, under the water, and doesn't get all of the sun that it needs, the chlorophyll in it isn't as strong as the grass. When we look at the spring, we see that grass, we see that chlorophyll heavy. In the fall, we see that chlorophyll as it starts to withdraw back into the plant so that it can rejuvenate itself. That's the piece that happens in fall and winter. And so if you're taking sea moss, you should take sea moss 5 days a week. I tell my patients, you should take sea moss Monday through Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday, don't take it. Because that gives the body the chance to work with it. But if you're taking it 7 days a week, the body will say, what in the hell is this? So you don't want me to work. Okay, so I'm going to sit back over here and eat these cookies and let you and that sea moss do y'all's thing. And as it does its thing, later on down the road, you're like, why am my hip hurting like it is? Your hip hurting like it is because of the fact that you got too much minerals in your body, and your body hasn't been able to get to use them and get rid of them. And so you should think about, people should really think about the factor of taking it, not taking it so much. And then, you know, we also have to look at the factor of not only where it comes from, but how it's being cultivated. See, people don't deal with that because of the fact that most of the people who are either selling seaweed or taking it have no idea of the toxicity of it.
That's the part.
Okay, they have no idea where it came from, who's cultivating it, who's actually storing it, how are they storing it, you know, what country is it coming from, what type of water is it coming from. See, because all of those things are important. You know, lab tested. It should be lab tested for heavy metals because of the fact that, okay, so I'm not sure who put it out there first and everybody started taking it, but the piece of that is the fact that, and I'm asking people who are selling it, okay, that might be on this call, do you have lab tested sea moss that you're selling to people? Do you know where it's coming from? Okay, do you know how it was cultivated? See, because if you don't know those things, then you could be giving somebody something that could cause them harm. Now, let me say this. If you don't have a PhD in some kind of healthcare, MD, DC, which is chiropractic, or any of them things that the American Medical Association is looking for, if someone gets sick off the products that you're taking, you're going to be like Dr. Sebi. They're going to put you in court talking about you dealing with medicine without a license.
Let's unpack something for a minute here. You said a lot. And one of the pieces that I want the focus to be on, and people listening to this, you said some things very interesting because we do something, we run away with it. And it was Dr. Sebi that actually put sea moss on the map for us as a people. I mean, everybody's running with this sea moss thing. And I started making sea moss several years ago, and I didn't boil it. I started studying on how to clean it, on how to allow it to soak overnight, and then I blended it down. And one of the things I came into about 2 years ago, I ran into, so I was making it, just about eating it every day, and my daughter was doing it also. Well, found out later that, I found out later after this occurrence that, of course, sea moss is very high in iodine. Right. Well, it was lowering my daughter's blood pressure to the point to where she became anemic. Right. Because if you don't have a blood issue, you don't have a high blood issue. That means there's a balance. Sea moss can lower the iodine in sea moss because it's not regulated and you don't know how much is in it. Even with a teaspoon, you could lower a person's blood pressure to where they become anemic and don't even know why, because it's like you mentioned about the thyroid regulates all the functions of our organs and it keeps everything balanced. Well, if a person have a thyroid issues, sea moss can help you, but also sea moss can harm your thyroid and make your situation worse. This is why when people are selling sea moss, you don't see how much to take. You don't see none of the nutritional values of what you should do. Should you take it every day? You just mentioned if you're taking it, you should take it for a reason. You should have a reason why you're taking it. You should know what you are deficient in. So my question is, when we unpack that, when it comes to the deficiency, what is it about sea moss that is, as you mentioned, that is harmful, that people need to pay attention to, that is not regulated on people's bottles who is making it out of their kitchen and just putting it out there?
The thing about that is this, when you start to talk about taking anything, okay, you got to understand, and I'm going back to the chemistry thing. You got to understand that you're a chemist and your body's a chemistry factory. And within the compounds of that, what we now look at is you have to understand your chemistry before your elbow bends and your mouth flies open and you put it in. You can't tell your girlfriend or your friend, say, man, I done took this sea moss and this sea moss is the bomb. And your brother over here has low blood pressure, as you said, and start taking it and then start to wonder, well, why is my head foggy? Why don't I have any energy? I'm taking the sea moss. And the piece of that is the fact that you're taking it, but you don't understand the chemistry of your body that now is causing you a deficiency instead of it promoting the health that you need because of the fact that you're taking it wrong and you're taking it not the way you should. That's like with mine. I tell people that you should take a quarter of a teaspoon in 8 ounces of water. Okay. That way, what happens is that now it's regulated. And on all of my packages, and John, you've taken some of my products. On all of my products, I talk about 5 days a week. I have a 5 and 2. Because of the fact that we don't want it to build up into your body. The other piece of that is that you're making it in your kitchen. So if someone's making it in their kitchen and selling it, and they're not cooking it, microbacteria, we got to understand that, can get into that. Okay, if you keep it over a week, it could have microbacteria, and that microbacteria now can cause some other kinds of stuff, which now the doctors would be looking at and saying, well, where did this bacteria come from? How did it come? And I say to people when they tell me that they done bought a jar of gel from somebody, I said, did you ask them what kind of preservative did they put in it to make sure that no bacteria gets in it? See, because anything organic, including us, has the ability, because of the enzymes that control that, has the ability for mold, for microorganisms, okay, for bacteria. And so when that doesn't happen, when that happens, what happens? What happens is that the body tries to figure out what to do about it. You know, that's like with vitamin C, which is a good preservative. But the fact is, will it work with sea moss in order to preserve it? Because of the fact that when you, as I said before, when you leave it, and I'll tell people who are selling sea moss and making it, I would say this to them: do experiment. Okay. I mean, if you making sea moss, now you working as a scientist.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do an experiment with your sea moss. So make some, sit it out for 4 or 5 days, see what happens to it. Take some, put it in the refrigerator, in the lower part of the refrigerator. Okay. And sit it there for a week or two, see what happens to it. Put some in the freezer, see what happens to it. See, because then when somebody come back to you and say, you know, that sea moss, I think I got something from that sea moss. You have the intelligence of how your sea moss works and say, well, it didn't come from my sea moss because of the fact that I can tell you exactly what's going on with my sea moss. Okay. But if you don't do that, then what happens is that now what happens is that somebody can come back to you and you say, oh, you think it was my sea moss? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe, you know, now you're dealing with a guessing game. Health is about science.
Right.
Okay. Health is about science. And each one of them chemicals in your body and each chemical that you put into your body has to do with the science of how your body's going to work. And sea moss, you know, sea moss is great. Like I said, it is great, but you got to understand how to balance it, how to make it so that it works for you and not against you, because it has that ability to work against you. You know, and the piece of that, yeah, it gets rid of cancer. It can help with cancer, but it also can go to the fact that it can cause you to have a miscarriage. Okay. It can cause you to have fertility issues, but it also can aid fertility. You know, in Jamaica, you know, Guinness stouts and sea moss gets the soldiers to stand up.
It's a big drink.
It is
in Jamaica,
right? For stimulation. Okay, but that's in Jamaica. The other piece of sea moss is this. Not only do you have to understand where it comes from, you have to understand what the climate is like where you live at.
Mm.
Okay? Because of the fact that, as I said earlier, your digestive tract changes consistently.
Absolutely.
And so you got to understand how to regulate that during each season. Because if you don't, then yeah, you could have some issues. And see, what we don't realize is this: when the doctors say, I hate to tell you, you got cancer. Well, that cancer could have started 10 years ago and got to the point where now it's showing up.
Like diabetes.
Like diabetes.
And which kind of, you know, it's interesting when you started talking about the mucus around the cells, because the first thing I thought of was cancer only grows in a low oxygen acidic environment.
Right.
So it depending upon what you have surrounding your cells, be it a good balance, a good healthy balance of alkaline versus acidity, versus creating a more acidic environment because of terrible dietary choices, then ultimately, I feel like every person has cancerous cells in the body, but in a properly balanced body, your body's continually fighting off or getting rid of those cancerous cells. Is that correct?
So let me say it like this here. You know, and we got all these people doing all of this alkaline. Everything is alkaline.
That's another new black.
Huh? Yeah, right.
It's a new black piece. Alkaline.
We can't have a perfectly alkaline body. It'll kill us.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay, alkalosis, it'll kill us. We have to have a balance of acid and alkaline. For instance, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody. A man's sperm, okay, is alkaline.
Mm-hmm.
The prostate fluid makes it acidic.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because the vaginal fluids of a woman is 3.5. That's acidic.
Mm-hmm.
And so if that alkalinity goes in there, what happens is that that acidity kills it.
Mm.
So that it doesn't get to the eggs. You see? So we got, and you're right, John.
The sperms that did get to the eggs is obviously, woo! Those are some strong sperms.
No question.
They was meant to be here.
You see? I mean, so when we start looking at that, we have to understand that first. Second, when we start talking about the mucilage of the sea moss, we have to understand the fact that part of that is acid, part of that is alkaline, so that it merges and aids the balance of the cell. So that when magnesium goes into the cell, the magnesium now can go through the blood to the heart so that the heart can pump. So that the ATP, the adenosine triphosphates of the body, okay, what that does is that's the energy of the cell. It's able to proliferate so that the cells keep regenerating and the genes continue to prosper. When we start to look at the sea moss, the sea moss goes in and gets rid of inflammation because of the fact that if there's inflammation, then what comes out is the alkaline portion of it, which now helps it to overcome. When we look at the acid side of it has to do with the pectin, which is now moving. That pectin is grasping that acid and it's moving it out of the body.
Mm.
It's like you eat greens. You know, you eat some greens and you drop that load, you see the greens and pushed all that waste out.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's what the pectin does of the sea moss. So when we start looking at sea moss, we really need to look at how it's I'm going back to the fact of cultivation. Is it farm raised or is it coming from the ocean?
Mm.
See, because if it's coming from the ocean, it's getting a lot of movement and minerals. If it's coming from farm raised, then it's only getting whatever the farmer is putting in it as nutrients.
Yes.
So then you got to question what they're using to create the nutrients or what they're using to fertilize.
Precisely.
Let me ask you. You know, I know you mentioned, and of course I know you personally. I know you've been in this journey for 40 plus years, which is remarkable. And that's why I'm a student of yours, and I'll come to you first if I have any issues. But you've been around, you've studied with, or been around Dr. Sebi, you know Dr. Africa, and you definitely know Baba Gregory. Now let me ask you a question. In the course of your studies, have there been issues where you came across a study that made you think different of something you already knew or that you knew of? Is that course, there's something changed? The reason why I'm asking that question is because there are those who have came into this path and have been deceased, and now they're deceased, and now the information is stuck with those who are holding that information without an hypothesis to test it. Like you said, there's no one has a test to it of how many minerals are actually in it and in the information. Have you came across information you yourself have came across that you've changed your own mind as you became more aware or more information came to you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, at one point, for instance, vitamin C, you know, soy. Let me use soy. So when I first started out, you know, we were eating tofu. This is back in the 70s. You get a big chunk of tofu for 25 cents. And so I was told, yeah, tofu's a thing. It's the best thing. Blah, 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 blah. It's going to give you this. It's going to give you that. What I've learned about soy is the fact that the best ways to take in soy, are fermented. Okay, so when you eating soy milk, soy ice cream, all of those things are detrimental to you, because that soy protein is hard to be digested. So when you eat tempeh, miso, or nete, what happens is that they go right into your system. See, now, Asians from Asian Minor, the reason that they could use tofu like that is because of the fact that from day one, they on tofu. With us, it's like we doing that because we became a vegan. Okay. The piece of that is the fact that, yeah, there's been several things that you know, I had learned something over here, and then science said there was something different about it. I mean, that kind of thing. The other thing I want to say, which just hit me in the head, was the fact that, you know, you got a lot of people who are now vegans, and the piece of that is the fact that if you don't know your blood type, you might be causing harm to your body, because your blood type, your blood type may dictate that you should not be a vegan. I know that's hard for some people. Okay, because you got so many people who have come out and said, yeah, everybody needs to be a vegan. That's not true.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, that's not true at all, because of the fact that your blood type dictates what it is that you should be eating. That's like, my blood type is O. So there's a couple of things I know I can't eat. Lentils, man, I eat lentils and I'm farting all over the place because it's not in my blood type.
Yeah.
You see,
Doc,
so when you
question.
taking sea moss, you got to take that into consideration.
Doc,
you know, you may have too many minerals already.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You're breaking up.
Okay. Quick question. When it comes to your blood type, how can a person focus on finding out, you know, their blood type, and then finding a path to proper foods to eat based on that blood type?
First off, you can Google it. You can Google your blood type. Okay, it'll give you all four blood types. Second, it'll also give you all of the foods that you should be eating and the foods you shouldn't be eating because of your blood type. You know, so it's real easy nowadays. And then Dr. I think his name is Andal. I think he's put out 4 books. He's put out a book called Eat for Your Blood Type, and he's also put out Diet for Your Blood Type.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there it is. That's it. I mean, so that's how people can find out their blood type. You know, and I tell people all the time, you know, so I tell people all the time that they really need to deal with understanding their blood type. because that blood, and this is real, and this is really heavy. That blood that runs through your veins doesn't belong to you. It's stored in your body for future generations. So that means that your ancestors gave you that blood so that you can pass it coming behind you. So that means that you need to understand your blood type, so that, and especially if you're still in childbearing ages, you need to understand your blood type so that you understand what to give your children, and as they're born, so that they can maintain a healthy life. Because, you know, to be realistic about the thing, we looking at the fact that the food that we eat, I've had people get on me about saying this, but I'm gonna say it. The food we eat is garbage, straight up. The food that I ate in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 70s was food. This food that we eat is more adulterated than food I've ever tasted. And organic, oh my God. People think because it says organic, just like seaweed, organic, they're eating well. Not necessarily, because if you're eating organic and it's coming from California, and you live over here in Washington, D.C., they gotta pick it immature, so that so when it gets over here, it still has some shelf life. And so that means that you're not getting the nutrients from it.
Yeah, it ripened along the way versus naturally with the sun and everything else. Because if if they did it the right way, then by the time you get it, it'd be, too ripe.
Precisely. Yeah. You also even with sea moss, you also got to make sure that you have the proper amount of hydrochloric acid in your stomach. Okay. Because the hydrochloric acid in your stomach has to break down protein. Protein is the building block of our life. Nothing builds if it doesn't have the 8 to 9 essential amino acids that can be absorbed within your body. So when you're doing things of that nature, when you're eating foods, if you eat foods or even take sea moss and you start belching, that means that the hydrochloric acid in your stomach is not functioning properly. If you're taking sea moss and you got diarrhea, I would say stop taking it. Or if you're taking sea moss and you're constipated, or if you break out in a rash, in terms of taking the sea moss, that may not be negative. That may be the cleansing process that's happening because of the sea moss. You see, so when you take in sea moss, there's a lot of stuff that you have to consider, opposed to just going along with the fad. So that your body receives the nutrients. The basis of eating food, just think about this. The basis of taking in foods, and sea moss is a food, is for nutrients. If you craving sweets all the time, and even if you're taking sea moss and you craving sweets, that means that the sea moss ain't working. Okay, because of the fact that it's not giving you nutrients. So your body's asking for sweets because of the fact that it needs nutrients. That's what calories are about. And we the only animal in God's kingdom that counts calories. There's no other animal in God's kingdom that counts calories but humans. And that's because we don't know how to eat. That's why we taking sea moss like we taking it. So if that's happening, then what you should do is a couple of things. One, I would suggest, if you're vegan, see if your body will take some fish. Okay. 2, you can make oatmeal water, okay, out of steel cut oats, STEEL oats, or old-fashioned oats, not that instant stuff. And what you would do with that is you would take an 8-ounce glass and you'd put a tablespoon of oats in it, pour distilled water over it, and put a cover over it and let it sit on the counter overnight. In the morning, strain the water. If you want to eat the oats, you can eat the oats, but strain the water and drink it. That's going to give you the chromium. That's going to help all of that. And that's going to break down that sweet cravings. See,
and trust me, it really works.
It does. And see the piece of that is the fact of that when we take in the sea moss, we really need to understand the conditions of our health. If you're taking medication, what's the relationship between the sea moss and the medication? See, because if you're taking sea moss and it creates a problem with your medication, the AMA and FDA are going to start to say, well, sea moss is causing health issues, so we need to take it off the market.
So what is interesting is that if a person is taking sea moss, they should know why they're taking it. They shouldn't just take it because well, it's got 92 minerals. They should know specifically why they're taking it, just the same as they are taking medication from a doctor.
That's right. That's right. And see,
but that's the piece right there, though, because even with medications from a doctor, you know, as a licensed life insurance agent, when I'm sitting on the phone with clients, 90% of the people don't know why they're taking a medication, especially in their elder years. They just throw all their trust to
in the doctor,
the white coat.
Right, but here's the thing: they know their doctor told them. What I'm saying is that the person who's taking sea moss don't know the medicinal powers that it have, and so by not knowing that, they're just taking it because they think it's just a food. No, it's more than just a food. You should have something you're taking it for to correct in your body, not to just be taking it because, oh, I'm hungry, let me take a teaspoon of sea moss. They need to know that it's specifically designed for a reason, and you should know that reason. If I ask a person, you take sea moss, why do you take it? You should be able to tell me there's something deficient or something that you need those minerals for, like iodine, that's going to help you out. Other than that, if you tell me you just doing it because everybody else is doing it, you're doing it because someone told you that it's good for you, that becomes the problem.
And I should have elaborated, but that's what I'm saying, brother Yah, is people will take the same oblivious mindset that they have with because a doctor told them. They're not researching anything to figure out, you know, I mean, because remember, I don't know what grade your doctor got, whether you got a B or A or a C plus. I mean, you know, I mean, I guess the doctor got to get a B or something, but you just don't know, and you should not just trust because of the white coat. Same thing when it comes to fads and everybody else is doing it. You should do some sort of research yourself. And so even when you Google, it doesn't mean just look at the first thing that pops up, because, you know, SEO is an amazing thing. You know, people can pay to have their stuff pop up first. But look at where the source is coming from, even when you Google, and look and see if it's a validated source of that information. Just the same. Like Brother Yah said, you should have more specific reasons for adding this stuff. And I tell you, the plethora of information, and it's amazing to hear you speak, Dr. Akmal, because what I hear is a pass down of information. Because there's so much that I've learned from Brother Yah, you know, taking my supplements 5 days a week versus 7 days a week, you know, allowing my body time to rest and things. So when I hear you talk, then I'm hearing that mirror that comes from Brother Yah, and that's a beautiful thing right there when you when you can see that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a student. But here's what's interesting.
He one of my number one students, you know. But what I want to say is, for instance, people who are taking Coumadin or warfarin, which are blood thinners, when you take CMOS, that thins your blood. So now, with you taking this medication over here, okay, what now is happening is that now you have the two same forces in the body. And when they come together, now they can start an issue of you bleeding. See, so John, you're right, you know, and we've talked about that many times. People got to understand. That's the first, when somebody comes to me and they fill out my intake form, one of the first things I ask them is, why are you taking this? Because they need to know why they're taking whatever it is they're taking and why it was prescribed for them. Because if you don't know that, then what happens is that you just pile another chemistry on top of that, and the chemistry that you're piling on top of that is chemistry that's causing you to have other kinds of issues. And so when we do that, again, I'm going back to the AMA and FDA. When that happens, the first thing they do is they say, we're going to shut this down because of the fact that it ain't going, you know, we saying that it's a potential hazard. It's not a potential hazard. It's the problem of the people. That's like, we call it Ma Huang in Chinese medicine. It's Ephedra. There was a fad going on that people was taking this to lose weight. And so the literature says take no more than 3 grams. People taking 20 or 30 grams. People falling out, having heart attacks, all of that. What they did was, FDA did was, they put a band on it. So now, right now, you can't really find Ma Huang. I can find it because I know where to get it from, but you can't find Ma Huang. Ma Huang is used to help the heart to circulate the blood. So now if you're taking all of that, the heart's pumping like this here. And so as the heart's pumping like that there, it's going to cause you to have a heart attack or a stroke. So people really need to be mindful of what they take. You know, I mean, when people, when I have my patients and I send you herbs for a protocol that I put you on, I tell you how to deal with the protocol, and then either that week or the following week, I call to see how you're doing. Because of the fact that if you're having an adverse effect, we need to deal with that and move that out the way so that the healing can happen. But if you buy something online and you ain't talking to nobody and nobody has the intelligence to help you through that, what happens is that you're out there on your own. And when you're out there on your own, it's like you scratching your head trying to figure out what's going on, and you're dying because of the fact that you're taking stuff that you shouldn't be taking because of the fact of the condition of your body.
Yeah. We got a couple of questions here. One with Dr. Health Daddy, Brother Frank Daddy. Brother Frank, you muted, Joe. In this day of heavy toxins in the air, sprays on our foods, can we really get to alkaline?
Well, the piece of that is this. Our acid alkaline balance comes from eating foods that are in season. Comes from cleansing and detoxifying. For instance, this is the season, and next month my program starts on winter, because you know, John, every season I do a program. Mm-hmm. This is the season of the kidneys, of the bones, and of the DNA. This is the season to fortify the body so that the blood now, it moves through the bones. The porousness of the bones starts to strain the nutrients from the waste, so that in the springtime, the liver can do its piece of detoxification known as cytochrome P450. That's how we acid alkaline the body. This is the season when we don't eat pasta. We don't eat anything that's gelatinous. Cookies, cakes, pies. We don't eat any of those. This is the time when we eat things like brown rice, quinoa, beans. This is and the real interesting thing is the fact that during winter, and especially if you live somewhere where it's cold, that's a real acidic time. So this is a season when we don't really eat salads because salads are cold and it shuts down the digestive tract. This is the season when we eat fruits that are in season. This is your season to eat your oranges and your grapefruits. Okay, pomegranates. You know, pomegranates is getting ready to go out of season. But you eat the pomegranates because of the fact that the pomegranates is now going to balance that acid alkaline product of yours. You know, you don't eat bananas now. If you're eating a banana, you're eating a banana because of the fact that you need that banana because maybe your bowels ain't moving. Or maybe because of the fact that you need something smooth in your stomach to break down some of that acid, which now you have acid reflux. But that acid reflux can cause because your liver is attacking your stomach because of your attitude. See, when we eat foods, we got to also deal with the fact of the attitude. So to answer his question is the fact that we have to always be dealing with working with how we balance our acid and alkaline balance. Your bowels, for instance, that's a telltale sign of the acid alkaline of your body because of the fact that if your bowels move, and your bowels could move 3 times a day, but if your bowels have an odor to it and you gotta put a sign on the door to say, listen, don't go in there for 30 days, or the fact that you gotta paint it when you finish because you done blew up the bathroom, that's an automatic sign that your bowel, that your body is full of waste. There are no, I got this piece that I talk about, there are no fat people in the world. There aren't. You cannot find a fat person in the world. And I ain't never been over 150 pounds. You can't find them. You find a lot of people are full of shit. And their bowels need to move. That's what you're looking at because of the fact that the foods they're eating is so acidic. When you eat foods in season, just like lower animals, when's the last time you heard a lion had cancer? Or a giraffe had high blood pressure? You don't. Why? Because they eat foods in season.
You have heard of that with dogs.
People, domesticated dogs raised in the house.
Yep.
Right.
Eating table food.
Absolutely. One of my patients, she just had to put her dog down because he had cancer. And so she's a health guru. And so I was like, okay, so that means that the health that you're dealing with, and I always talk to her about combinations, and John, I'm big on food combinations. I always talk to her about that. And so now that the dog is passed, now we got a different kind of conversation going on because of the fact that the domestication of animals is what's really killing them. That's why the veterinarian's making so much money. Because of the fact that people are feeding their dogs and they're not dealing with their dog's blood type. If the dog's eating food, you gotta deal with the dog's blood type.
Hey, there are people got their dogs being vegan.
Yeah. And the dog, if you go back to the history of the dog comes from the wolf.
Yes.
And so the wolf is a carnivore. They're not a vegan, they're carnivoric. And see, what people don't understand about this vegan and vegetarian thing, that started back in the 70s with 2 people that I know of. One of them her name was Ann Wigmore. She had the Hippocracy Center, which was in Boston, and Baba Dick Gregory, EIA. Those 2 were the 2 that came out talking about vegetarianism. Okay. And then you had the hippies who started dealing with it. And then, it got into black people probably around the beginning of the 80s. That's when a lot of us really started to look at the factor of eating less meat and eating more vegetables and those kinds of things. And so when we start looking at that, we start looking at sea moss, you know, we got to look at the factor that when you're taking this sea moss, you need to really have an understanding of what you said, John, why you're taking it, the frequency that you're taking it, yeah, the milligrams of what you're taking, and what it is that it's doing within the compounds of your body. See, because if you don't do that, then you just helter-skelter taking it. And so as you take it in that manner, what now happens is that now things can go on in your body that you can't identify. And because people say, no, sea moss is the best thing since sliced bread, what happens now is that the sea moss is causing issues, and the issues that the sea moss is causing are issues that you're now dealing with, and you don't understand that's what's causing you to have those issues.
Awesome. So someone asked the question, what is Qigong?
Okay. Qigong. On Saturday mornings, you got to be 50 on Saturday mornings, and I don't charge for it. I ask for a donation, but I don't charge for it. I have a program that's called the Elders Suites, SWEETS. And what we do is we do Qigong. If you're familiar with Tai Chi, Qigong is similar to Tai Chi. The difference between Qigong and Tai Chi is the factor of the postures. With Tai Chi, you're moving in a linear direction. With Qigong, you're moving in a standard space where you're moving your arms, your legs, your head, your body, that kind of thing. So it's in the same classes as Tai Chi and as yoga. And what it does is it's very powerful, because in China, they have hospitals. And one of them is a cancer hospital that they do nothing but Qigong. They'll give you some herbs, but they do a lot of Qigong, because Qigong builds the inner body. It builds the organs of the inner body. Listen, as I said, I'm in my 70s. And so, you know, I don't have the same kinds of issues that most people do that are 70, because of the fact that I do Qigong often, you know. And you can either go to my website and join in on next Saturday morning, or you can look it up online and see exactly what Qigong is. You know, the Asians, at one time, before they really got involved with the Westerners, they lived the longest. And they lived the longest because of what they do. When I was studying in China, in the mornings, from 7 to 8 o'clock, you'd find lots of people in the park. They'd be doing Qigong, Tai Chi, martial arts, and the women had this fabulous fan dance. It was just fabulous, and that would be what they would do in the morning. In the evening, around 5 to 6, they'd go back to the park and they'd do more Qigong and more Tuina and more Tai Chi and those kinds of things. And so when you start looking at Qigong, you're looking at basically movement, using your breath and movement to adhere the healing of the internal organs, so that it provides you with health and longevity.
Awesome. Listen, we're going to post up. I think you just put up your information. Definitely, if you want to reach out to Dr. Akmal and have a consultation, you can do that through his website, or get online and register to have a consultation with him, and to join his class. I think you got a class coming up next month, right?
Right. I have a class coming up next month, which is winter has the healing power of our DNA, which we'll talk about. It's a 4-week class, which will talk about the factor of how the kidney season, how the winter has to deal with our DNA, and how it deals with our stem cells and our immune system. Also next month, which is a 4-week program, I do a diabetes program every month. that starts at the beginning of the month and ends at the end of the month, because we've got so many people in the community that got diabetes, to the point where people are taking oral medicine and injections, and that's really death. And so and because it was my thesis and my book that I wrote from my thesis on diabetes, you know, diabetes is one of my specialties, as well as things like multiple sclerosis, stroke, hypertension. I mean, I do a lot. Fertility. I wrote a book on fertility for women, which is called the Prevention and Healing of Female Imbalances, which next year will be a course that I'll be teaching to not only just women, but men as well. That kind of thing. And then the prostate. That's another piece. Man, this is the season. If any of y'all brothers listening out there, this is the season to work on strengthening your prostate, because you don't have to have prostate cancer and you don't have to have prostatitis, but it's about what you do. You know, the brother asked about alkaline. There's where you need that alkalinity, because remember I said the prostate fluid is alkaline, okay? Because the sperm is acidic. And so you need to have, I'm sorry, the sperm is alkaline and the prostate is acidic. But you need to have that, so that what it does is it balances your prostate, so that as you go into your 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s and 100s and 150, because, you know, you got to be around with me when I turn 150, so I have some people to talk to.
That's right.
You know, at that point, they'd be talking so much gibberish. I'd be like, what the hell did they just say? You know, but the prostate piece is key and crucial. And so next year I'll be reaching out and talking about the fact of doing a whole prostate piece for men, because of the fact that there's too many men that are having prostate. That's just like there are too many women who are having fertility issues. And so that's why I created the Prevention and Healing of Female Imbalances course that I'll be dealing with next year, to let
now,
women know.
In 2023, there's going to be some women having prostate issues as well, I think.
Yeah.
It's coming.
They gonna have some prostate issues as well. And you absolutely right. You absolutely right. You know, I mean, so
somebody gonna mess the surgery up and get confused, and
no question.
They're not gonna know which way to go.
Right. And so because of that, the most important piece in life is our health and our well-being. There's nothing no more important than that. You know, and if we don't cherish that, what happens is that we wind up having pain and suffering. And my skill is to assist people in eliminating pain and suffering, because of the fact that, and it's real interesting that when our ancestors were on them slave farms, plantations, their health was better than some of our health today when we got everything. And that's tragic. That's real tragic.
I mean, today though, we're dealing with, so much of a lack of nutrition. From
no
the soil
question.
To
Monsanto companies that are making GMO, pulling out minerals, putting in new stuff, making plants grow, looking retarded, and we eating that crap. Yeah, I know.
No question.
Yeah. So you're talking about
that's like
a world full of malnutrition.
That's like, when I grew up, we had seeds in grapes and seeds in oranges and pulp, and now you can buy grapes without seeds, and you can buy oranges and orange juice with no pulp in it. So you know right away that the food's been tampered with because of that. When we really start looking at the food industry, like the CMOS industry now, is only about money. It's about how much money can I get out your pocket and how soon. Opposed to the fact that Are you getting nourishment from the foods that you're eating?
Correct.
And if you're not, then this is what you need to do. I want to drop this in people's ear. If you came to me and you had a hangnail, these are two things that I would tell you to do. Probiotics and digestive enzymes. Those are the two pieces that anybody that would speak my name would tell you that I tell them. Because of the fact that digestive enzymes is going to help to break down the starch, the proteins, the lipids, the fats, and the sugars in their proper locations in the body. The probiotics, what the probiotics is going to do is the probiotics is going to go into your small intestines, which is your gut, which is not your stomach. Your stomach for men is in the left quadrant of your chest, and for women it's under your left breast. The next time the doctor tell you that your abdomen is your stomach, tell the doctor to stop lying to you and tell you the damn truth, okay? Because that's your small intestines. Your small intestines is the primary element of your immune system, because it's where it extracts the nutrients from the foods that you eat and put them into your blood so that your blood is able to nourish your entire body. But if your abdomen is protruding and you constipated, you ain't getting nutrients. And so because you're not getting nutrients, that means that the cells are not getting nutrients. So now the cells have the ability for hypertension, diabetes, cancer, fibromyalgia,
total breakdown,
arthritis. Right. You see, I mean, so when you start to get nutrients, what happens is the body functions well. The majority of the people in this country, I'm just going to talk about this country, are suffering from malnutrition.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the fact that we're not getting nutrients. If we was getting nutrients from the foods that we were eating, we would not need to go to the hospital.
And we wouldn't see these people that we call fat.
Yeah, right. Because, and let me say this about that. What happens there is this. So now the waste that's stuck in your small intestines. What that waste does now is it leaks into your blood, and it's called the leaky gut syndrome. So when it leaks into your blood and it circulates your body, there's a tissue in your body called adipose tissue. You got a white adipose and you got a brown adipose. You know which one that picks up that waste, right? That brown adipose tissue. And so the body goes from here and it starts to do this because the tissue starts to do that. And then after a while, the tissue is so profound that you can see it all over your body. You're not fat. You're full of waste. That waste is dealing with your cells. For instance, the gentleman, Gibson is his name, that Kevin Hart and Cuban are funding the $600,000 for. He got into sea moss because of the fact that he started taking sea moss. He was 300 pounds or more. He started taking the sea moss, and so that he lost 300 pounds. And so that's what got him into sea moss. And so when you start talking about nutrients, that show the nutritional values of sea moss. So when we start talking about nutrients, we have to talk about the fact that we need to make sure that when our elbow bends and our mouth flies open, we putting something in there that's going to give us nourishment. We eat for taste and not for nourishment.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to leave you at this. I've got a conference downstairs that I got to go to, but I'm going to leave this with you. So everybody's on the happy trail of sea moss. That's a nice thing. Know where you're getting it from, know who you're getting it from, know when you should take it, know how to take it, and know what to mix with it. See, because when you do that, then you'll get the benefits of it. Yeah. That's like the moment that you take my Green Earth food, you got energy instantly. Your appetite changes because you got nutrients. Your body begins to increase its ability to proliferate your cells, because that's what chlorophyll does to the cells. The other piece I would leave you with is this: stop jumping on fads.
That one.
You know, stop jumping on fads. As John said, you know, do the research. Find out what it does before you jump on it. Now we got a keto diet, and probably since we've been on here, we got several more diets. I don't use the word diet because if you look at the word and spell it, who in the hell is dying? Oh, I forgot. That's right. They said diet because of the fact that they know we dying from the foods that we eat. We have an eating habit, and our eating habit has to be within the seasons. You can go on my website, DrAkmalSpeaks.com, and you can extract free of charge the foods for each season. And if you live in an area with those foods are not in season, find out what the foods are in season in the area you live. That's like, this is not a time to eat tropical food. If you take in oranges, you're taking in them for their vitamin C and their pectin. Yeah. But if you're not, if you're eating everything under the sun, then you can expect that your health is going bad. And you know what we do? We eat some bad stuff and say, well, I'm gonna take my medicine. So what will happen is that we'll go down and eat them cookies, cakes, and them pies, and then come back and say, well, I'm gonna take my sea moss, and that sea moss is gonna straighten everything out. That ain't what's happening.
No.
Okay, that ain't what's happening at all. Yeah. So when you're dealing with you should really begin to look at the factor of how you're serving yourself. And if you're of childbearing age, you should really deal with the fact of how you're going to serve them children coming behind you. And everybody should know their blood type and what foods complement their blood type and what foods don't complement their blood type, so that what happens is you're eating foods that give you nourishment and health and longevity.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Doc, it's always a pleasure to have you in the building with us. Folks, you know, everyone, we know we had some little technical issues in the beginning, but I hope you gathered some fantastic information from this show. Remember, healingarts.net. That's HEALENARTS.net. Check out Dr. Akmal. And as you see, it's right on his website, 301-249-2445. You can give him a call just the same, but go through that website. You can set up a consultation, all that good stuff. We even dropped the link here for his Green Earth food. You click that link and it'll take you right to his website, to that particular product right then and there. I think that's definitely something that I'm going to order myself. Doc, a pleasure.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother.
Be well, enjoy your life as you peacefully walk in health. Adabo.
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 Man, what a great, good information. Definitely dropped a lot of jewels. And let me say that on this blood type, it's a very important issue that we need to know. Everyone should know your blood type. And I think everyone should know. What's interesting is that it's a little difficult getting the information now. So what you do is go to your doctor and use these words, because he's going to ask you why you want to know your blood type. This is crazy. So you go to your doctor and say, hey, what is my blood type? Is it in my file? Chances are he's going to say no. If you somewhat of a certain age, and depending on how long you've been going to the doctor, he's probably going to say, no, it's not in your file. You want that information, right? You want them to have a test. And that doctor's going to ask you why you want to know your blood type. I want you to look him in his face when he asks you, why do you want to know your blood type? And I want you to ask him, do you, sir or madam, know your blood type? And they're going to tell you yes. And then say, well, why can't I know mine, right? So there's ways you can get your blood type, whether you go and and how important it is for people to know how important your blood type is this. When you go give blood to the Red Cross, they're going to tell you your blood type. Your blood is very important of how they make transfusion or how they give someone else your blood. Even your organs are important because connected to your blood type. If you have organ failure and you want and you want a new organ, it has to fit the same blood type or your body will reject that organ. This is how it's important. What is the blood? The blood is the carrier of all your nutrients. So that's how important it is about your diet. You should know your blood type because you should know what you can eat and cannot eat. When I started this studying about my blood type, I realized there were certain foods that was not digesting well. And I figured it out through studying my blood type. So there were certain things I couldn't eat anymore, cashew nuts, avocado. And so I had to stop it because I realized that I was causing my body to become acidic by eating things that are not compatible to my blood type. Remember, blood type is to carry the nutrients through the other organs and your brain. So the blood type is extremely important to know. You should get the book, Eat According to Your Blood Type. Understand that and get your blood type. Understand, get it. You want to get that blood type. You don't let that doctor tell you it's not important. It is extremely important for you to walk around and know your blood type. If you do not know, you'll walk around, you do not know your blood type. You don't have a clue what you're vulnerable, what can harm you, or none of that when it comes to diet. And most important, when we talked about sea moss and iodine, as we mentioned in this earlier part, a lot of people who are overweight, and they're trying to do everything to lose their weight could have a thyroid problem because it's the thyroid that regulates everything of your organs and how it functions and how your body processes and how your body gets rid of waste. It's all connected to your thyroid. So some people have thyroid issues. Thyroids are swollen, thyroids are not functioning well, and this is the cause of your overweight or your heaviness, or you can't lose the weight like you wish. So anyway, I'm not the doctor, but I got it from the doctor. So you can get on his page, you can join his class. I urge you, anybody, if you're thinking about, if you into your health, if you into health period, you want to join this brother and get on his get in some of his classes. You have free access to all types of information. Not only that, you have a doctor you can ask questions right now instead of one that's in the grave that you can't request or you can't say, hey doc, remember you said this long time ago. So I urge you to get into this man's web page and get into his classes. Study some things about yourself. You're gonna learn so much, as he just dropped a lot of jewels right here. You can get a lot of jewels just by joining his class. So anyway, understand that part about your body. We're in a season now where there's a lot of germs and flus and this new virus going around. You definitely want to take care of your health and understand how your body functions.
Awesome stuff, man. Absolutely. I think that people definitely need to follow up on this information because, again, even when you think that you're doing right by your health and wellness, it's always good to tap into information like this, whether it's to be a reminder or a refresher course or what have you of this type of information. So next week, folks, as a matter of fact, next week we're going to be talking to Brother Edwin Fox from Raymond James.
Yes.
So next week we're gonna have a guest on talking financial information. There's a lot of stuff. All the experts out there are talking about the next 4 to 6 months of a potential severity of financial collapse in this country. So stay tuned next week when we bring on Ed Woodton Fox from Raymond James to talk and speak to that information. And hopefully our brother Pierre will be back on because that is definitely his area of expertise as well. So look to have a great conversation next week, folks. It is the Tipping Point Morning Show. We will see you same place, same time next week. Peace, brother.
Peace.
You are listening to The Tipping Point Show with your host, Mr. Just Ask Joe, John Young. You ready? Streaming live all over social media and on your favorite music and podcast streaming platforms.
Yeah, you know what it is.
Also, check out thetippingpointshow.com. The Tipping Point Show.